All right, we're live.
All right, Guardsmaniacs, what's going on? Welcome back. We are at episode 5. Foregoing the intro this time, I'm here with Logan Bruce and ES Green and Guardsmaniacs. We are at episode 5. How's everything going, guys?
Going great. Going great. Glad to be back here to discuss another week and wrap up this month of Guardians baseball.
I can't believe it's the 5th episode already. Or we're already a month and a half into the season, whatever it is. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's going and going. And, the Guardians have already kind of taken us on a little bit of a roller coaster ride. Started off the season on a pace to win about 99, 100 games. And here we are at the end of the month, and we are down to back down to 500, which, some of the years past were quite, a little bit below 500. So, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year, hey, the pitching's going to be good, the hitting's going to be questionable, and you're going to be at about 500, this would be probably what I expected.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we would be looking and saying we'd be happy with this kind of turnout so far. They did lose a couple close ones, which stings, but that's just the breaks in baseball.
Yeah, I think if you would have told me we were 500, honestly, I would have been surprised. But that was just like the preseason, like kind of feeling annoyed that we didn't do anything with the team in the off season. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's classic. Like we say it every week, I feel like, but it's just guards ball. That's exactly what's happening every single game.
Yeah, for sure. But there have been some bright spots on the team. There have been some, low spots. I think a lot of the low spots really weren't a surprise. Some of the high spots definitely have been a little bit of a surprise. And one of those surprises has been rookie Chase DeLauter. He has, for the most part, he's already had some ups and downs here. But he's looked great so far. If we're looking here at some of his stats, I mean, with having some slumps, and being hot, you're still looking at an OPS at over 830. He's hitting 257. And he's keeping up power numbers while he's not hitting home runs. I mean, he hit all his home runs in the first 4 games there. And now he's hitting doubles. He's had some clutch hits. So far, first month in, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of DeLauter. How about you guys?
Oh, absolutely. 26 hits, second on the team. And I like to see that he's walking more than he's striking out. It means he's got, awareness of the strike zone, and he's a battler. He's up there. Every bat's going to be in a battle for the pitcher.
Right. Yeah. Today, even, I think today he extended his hit streak back to 5 games, which he might've been at the start of the year because he was on fire too. But, he's hitting like 438 or something in the last 5 games. Today, actually, I think he had 2 hits today, and neither of them were, line drive doubles or home runs or anything, but it seems like he's kind of just got it. Like there were a couple of bloopers. I think at least one of them was like just a blooper right over the second baseman. And that's just, there's not really an explanation to it in baseball sometimes, but that's like good hitters find like
putting it in play and good things happen. Yeah.
It's just, it's like, you can't really explain it, but Jose does it too. Like his little dribblers down the line. It's like sometimes it just goes the hitter's way, and it seems like it's going his way.
Yeah, for sure. I like to watch, not only do I love to watch, baseball, today's baseball, but I like to watch, highlights of like old baseball. And, used to see guys, a lot more like punch and Judy hitters. You used to see a lot of guys where they would guys would hit to different parts of the field.
Right. Slap the bat.
They would slap it, right? And it seems as though, with, defense, the way they play defense, you can't really do that anymore with the way, because if you're going to be a guy that does that, they're going to play you to the line. They're going to play you up the middle. Right. We've seen a couple times this year where guys have gotten hits against us because of where we were playing our defense. So I don't know if we were necessarily playing the defense correctly because, they would have been ground outs, at second base had we been playing where we, a normal second baseman would be, right?
Right.
And
this came they switched from their original second baseman. These plays I think you're talking of.
Well, no, it's still the second baseman, but they're lining them up. No, you can't play on the the shortstop side of second base if you're second baseman anymore. So now they have them lined up
Right,
on the
right,
middle for
right.
the,
But where they
where
position
the
him,
shift. You know,
It's like
there's still, yeah,
it's
because
still
they're
shifting.
doing the
It's just
shift.
not, yeah.
Yeah,
And that
but
drives me crazy, man. I don't know. It's like I just miss old baseball, and it's
yeah,
I had like I don't know. That's how the good hitters were. Like Manny Ramirez was great at it, like driving the ball to the opposite field. Jose's still good at it. Like I don't know. And we were talking about MLB the Show, like so they do it in the show all the time too. It's like when the lefty's up, the defense all shifts, and
Yeah.
it's like, but it's also the way they pitch these guys. It's like, okay, well, the analytics say we're going to pitch it to him, so he has to pull it, and when he pulls it, our entire defense is going to be shaded towards that side of the field.
for sure.
Right.
And
It's
where I wanted to go with that was that, like, you and I were talking off the air, Logan, about how it just seems like no teams are hitting.
Yeah.
We're kind of like in a dead ball area, and it's it's pretty much home run or nothing. And it's like, and I don't think this is a hot take or a new take or anything like that, but it seems that even though like you're still not shifting anymore, right? Because you can't go that stuff still is taking away from baseball. These hitters can't hit anymore.
Right.
Everything is that uppercut swing now. And if it's not something over the second baseman's head or over over the fence, it's an out.
Right.
Right.
And you don't reward good hitting anymore in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Yeah. It's like and Quan's stats right here aren't going to show it. And Eric, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it too, but it's like I don't know, like the Quans of the world, like when he is hitting 290 to 300, like those used to be the very valuable players. He's also a Gold Glover out there, but now it's like his offense isn't really that attractive to other teams. That I mean, they could use a guy that gets on base, but it's like I don't know. He's not really seen as like one of the best hitters in the league. Or Luis Arias, the dude that like he never strikes out. That guy, he's hitting over 320 every year, and you never hear his name when you're talking about best hitters in the league. But you do hear about the dude on the White Sox, the rookie, the Japanese kid that has 12 home runs, Yordan Alvarez, Aaron Judge. I mean, those last two are two of the best hitters, but it is like, I don't know, like you said, home run or bust. It's super like, and you said dead ball era, and it made me laugh because it seems like that. But then now also I'm seeing on social media that people are thinking the baseballs are juiced again because everybody's hitting home, like all they're doing is hitting home runs.
Right. For a while there, it was leading. They set records for strikeouts per season and home runs in the same season. So it was either you're getting all or nothing. That batted balls in play that I talked about was absent. And that's where you get hits when you put balls in play. And if you're striking out at these rates, it's taking away from the actual action in the game. But it's still part of the game, striking out.
Yeah.
But baseball, I think, like every other sport, it goes through its eras and its waves, and I'd like to see us also get back to that where guys like Quan are more valuable, and Kenny Lofton and stuff.
Yeah,
I think you didn't need a guy to hit 20 home runs if he was going to hit 330 for you.
I think the real solution is bringing steroids back into the game.
Yeah. So they hit 340 and hit 50 home runs.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you have guys doing steroids again, those you can start hitting stuff past the guys that are fielding. The exit velocity we're going to see, and top teams have an average exit velocity of like 93, 94 miles an hour. Those are like like the top hitters. You get those exit velocities on average up to like 98, 99 miles an hour, and you're going to start seeing you'll start seeing singles up the middle again, and doubles down the line.
It's like get in the way of it if you want, if you dare. Try to catch it.
Try to do it, man, but you can't. You're not going to be able to get there.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't know, Eric, when you were saying like the all or nothing, it's almost like the NBA with the 3-pointers. Like it's just like the game is like completely shifted, and it's just the analytics say to shoot 100 threes a game. The analytics say to swing for the fences every time. Like it's very, I don't know if it's just a sign of the times in general. Like people want to see the 3-pointers and home runs. But I don't know. I miss the guy that would fly under the radar hitting 280 and everybody loved him because he was just a great hitter.
Yeah.
Now,
Scott Pasednik was a lot of fun to watch.
yeah, that's a great example. Sizemore, even like he was excited, he was a little flashier, and all the girls thought he was cute, so everybody knew who he was. But it was like, I don't know, he's just a good ball player. He wasn't doing anything crazy out there. So
now he's one that I would like to see stay healthy, and that was unfortunate for Sizemore.
Yeah, definitely. Hey,
I mean, he's a guy that probably could have benefited from steroids. He probably would have stayed healthier and, would have recovered faster. And, I'm just saying, I think that's another case. I think I'm going to start making, instead of trying to put Albert Bell in the Hall of Fame every week, I'm going to start making the case for legalizing steroids in baseball.
I think the Albert Bell thing, like, you have me on board with that. So yeah, we can move on to, we'll keep touching on Albert here, but like, let's shift it to the steroids in general and why all those guys need into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for sure. Not only do they need the Hall of Fame, but we need to not encourage them, but especially I think like not being funny here, but like I think especially with these guys recovering from injuries, like I don't think there's anything wrong with guys doing it for injury recovery. Maybe if you don't want them doing it throughout the year because it's performance enhancing and things like that. But, the doctors regularly now use that stuff for recovery. It's not like it's not crazy anymore.
We need just a little, roided out Jose Ramirez out there. Just,
oh, geez.
5'6", 270, solid muscle, hitting bombs.
He hit about 310.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. So productive. He might even hit over 300. He
hit 310, 50 guy every year. But that's how you had a guy Jose Canseco's size doing what he did. It was recovery. I'm sorry, Eric, go along.
I can get on with a little bit of steroid usage. It just becomes a slippery slope when you have guys, that don't want to do it, and they say it's not fair to me because I don't want to do this. I mean, that's what they say. He's gonna have to be too bad, or they make it a level playing field. So I think that's probably why they wouldn't bring it back.
Well, I'd say that's what I say. You don't have to do it like throughout the season. I'm saying you don't do it, but for like recovery for injuries and those sorts of things, I think you can. It can be some because that's something that normal people do.
It's medicine,
nowadays. Just something that normal people do.
Maybe just test it out at the low A level. Like, just make all of them do steroids. Like, everybody in low A ball has to do steroids, and then start to see what's going on.
See, Wilk says, listen,
separate.
Guys, steroids help with asthma in small quantities. You know what I mean? Like
he's a scientist. If he said it, it's true.
He is.
So it's doctor.
I use steroids for my skin. You know what I mean? So steroids are, steroids can be all used for all different types of things. With that being said, Manny Ramirez should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's that. And I think he was. How
about this transition? How about Manny Ramirez and Daniel Schneemann, who is on a 15-game on-base streak right now?
He is killing it. Talking about guys hitting the ball here. Daniel Schneemann, this guy, he's the only guy hitting 300 on the team right now. So if we check out Daniel Schneemann, he's hitting 321 right now. He has an OPS of 955. I mean, nobody expects Daniel Schneemann to keep this up, right? But he has done it through 26 games, so he has been an everyday player. He has been playing center field for the most part. He's been playing all over the diamond. He's been playing second base. He's had to spell Juan Brito.
Somebody.
Wow, that was a bad experiment there. We can get into that in a little bit. But that's a heck of a first month there for Schneemann.
Yeah, and to think just he helps himself out by being like, you said he played everywhere. He even played a couple games at shortstop, like immediately after Arias went down. I don't know, man. Him and Rocchio have been like two guys, and they were always, again, I'll say it one last time, they're always my go-to example of like, why are these guys still on our, like, we just have like these guys that nobody knows who they are.
Right.
And I admit I was 100% wrong about both of them. They're both playing awesome right now.
Yeah, man. They
Absolutely.
They look great. Schneemann, especially him. Rocchio at one point in time was a top prospect. So him having some sort of success is not something that is surprising to me at all. Schneemann, it's just like I don't remember him being drafted. I don't remember him coming over in a trade. The Guardians just have a way of sometimes they just have these guys that just pop up out of nowhere. They weren't in anybody's pipeline. They just have random guy comes up and all of a sudden it hits.
That's what Eric did. What you were saying he did in high school. If you just show up to the games, they'll let you on the team eventually.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, John Adams just came and banged a drum every game, and he became.
That's true. Yeah,
for sure. And it just kind of feels like that. It feels like the movie Major League. Like maybe he just showed up to spring training a couple years ago. Same thing with David Fry. I know that he came over from the Rockies, I believe, or something like that, but he still kind of came out of nowhere. He wasn't in anybody's pipeline. But
in fact, Schneemann was a 33rd round pick in the 2018 draft.
You know who was the first round pick in that same draft? Bo Naylor was the first round pick in the 2018 draft.
He was our first round pick.
I named the show Is It Time to Go, Bo? Which we can get into now because we have these stats pulled up. Bo Naylor right now, guys, has an OPS of 354.
It could be worse. It could be 353, 352.
So
his
first month here in April, he is, he's less than an automatic out in that lineup. He just is not showing anything at all. I think he has options left. If you're the Guardians at this point, I don't know what you do with this guy. But he cannot continue to be your everyday catcher.
He has no trade value. Maybe there's a team out there that still thinks he might have a little bit of, you would get no return for him. It would just be making room to get Cooper up here. If you guys think he's right, if he's ready.
I believe he's on the 7-day injured list right now.
Cooper Engel is. Yeah. And honestly, they just called up Bazanna. They're not going to call up, knowing the Guardians won't call up two top guys anywhere close to each other.
Right. But they might be in a position to be forced to at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what Bo Naylor is looking like for the year. So Bo Naylor, you got guys on your team that have on base percentages higher than this OPS.
Average is higher than,
well, not averages, but
yeah, I'm just saying.
Schneemann's average is almost that.
It's almost like hitting 320.
Yeah.
And 68 at bats is not a huge sample size, but it's big enough to be putting up those numbers. And you are having a hard enough time with your offense right now. I don't know that you can keep that in, especially when you got a guy down in AAA, right? And it's not only about this year's numbers, right? So, it's half the at bats, right? So it's not like this is a huge sample size where he's putting up these monster numbers, but his career numbers in the minor leagues look the same.
Very solid throughout. High OPS each season. Good eye.
He has a good eye. His on base percentage is always, look at how much higher his on base percentage is than his average.
He's only 2 years younger than Bo. Bo was born in 2000.
Yeah.
I don't know about the size. He says he's 5'8" here. I don't know. You like a big catcher, but how much does that matter?
Well, I think I've always been afraid of big catchers because of Sandy Alomar. Sandy Alomar was 6 foot and he spent his whole life on the DL because he was catching bats and foul balls and constantly hurt. So I'm someone that likes a smaller catcher. But Cooper Engel, I know he's on the 7-day, but he's going to come off that 7-day DL. Absolutely. And do the Guardians really? Are they at a point where they have to take a look at this for real?
I'd be interested first to see Bo, and this is just in general, Bo's minor league stats. We don't need to look it up now. I'll look it up after, but I was just curious, if Bo is actually killing it in the minors before we called him up. But when you had Bo's numbers up there, I saw 121 RBIs and everything. And I was like, holy crap, man, when did he have 121 ribbies? Then I realized that was his career numbers.
Yeah.
For like the last 4 or 5 years, however long or 4 years he's been up here.
He does look like a 40-year-old. Michael said,
yeah, it looks like a 40-year-old. Yeah. I mean, at this point, dude, I don't know. Like, I hope the Guards are kind of changing their view on calling these guys up or not. Like with Bazanna coming up a little bit earlier than he normally would for us. Yeah. I hope that they would do the same with him. Bo's hitting under 200 for his whole career. Like that. Again, like even back in the 90s or 80s, like when the catchers were not the offensive guys on the team, they were the bruisers that would get guys, like throw guys out. They still hit 210, 220. Like
right.
They weren't getting away with hitting 100, like 170, 180 on the year. Like you had to still be able to kind of hit.
Yeah. If he's not going out there catching, he's not playing.
Yeah. And I don't know his defensive, like I don't know, Eric, if you know like how he is comparatively defense wise, like
statistically not, but when I see him, I'm not impressed. Like his framing to me isn't that great, and not that framing has a big part now because of the ABS, but he's missed a couple of ABS calls and as a catcher, I think catchers should be pretty much accurate, and he missed them. Sorry.
Bo Naylor never lit it up in the minor leagues either.
So like that year 260, like that, like as a catcher in the minors, like that, so it's okay. Like that's like that as a catcher in AAA, that might be enough to get you called up, but then that was just an outlier.
He has OPSs up here of like 898, 880, 889, right? You know, so those are impressive. That means that you're hitting, you got a little power, but the problem is that he can't like make it. It seems like he can't make adjustments, right? You guys know how to pitch to him. I'm not a baseball expert enough to know exactly, what that is, right? If I was, I would be a coach in Major League Baseball, right? I'm a fan here, right? But it looks like, they can, if they're doing, off speed to hard stuff to him, that's what gets him. That you can get him with off speed stuff outside, and he either it waves at it or he, he's looking, and he just misses it all the time.
And maybe that's just it. He's not developing as a hitter. He hasn't. And
what it says to me here, these numbers, is that, he has a good eye for like walking, right? But it says to me here is that he has a little bit of, he hits doubles. He has a little pop in his bat. He hits a couple home runs. He hits a couple doubles, but he doesn't, he's not a good hitter.
No.
That OPS is high because he hits doubles and he hit a couple home runs.
Yeah. And that's where, for some reason, I was thinking he was in the pros a little longer than he was, but I guess 4 years sounds about right. Yeah, you'd hope for, and it's still early this year. Like, it's not to say he can't turn it around, but it's like, man, like look back to last year, 24, he hit what does that say? 201, or 2 years ago, 201, then 195. He's actually gotten worse.
Yeah.
As it's gone on. If he could have taken that 195 and then boosted it up to 210, and then this year be hitting 220, 230. Like, I think if he's hitting 230, we wouldn't have that big of a problem with him because he's a catcher.
No, absolutely. That could be passable.
I mean, his first year in 2003 was his best year offensively here. He had an 809 OPS, hit 237. He
11 home runs.
11 home runs, but he was hitting doubles too. Right? That was his year.
And then, like you said, they figured him out, they adjusted to him, and he just has not recovered.
Yeah, and there's like, I don't know, it's like such a bad example, but there are flashes of like, he'll hit some of these like line drives that look like they're gappers and they just don't fall. Like there's times where his swing looks great. And I think, Gary, you said it last week, like a left-hander swing always looks pretty. There's been times where he swings and it doesn't like look like that great. it's just like he has like a super long swing. I don't know what it is. Kind of the opposite of like when we talked about DeLauder's swing out. It's just kind of short and sweet, even though he's falling over because his feet both come off the ground. But like I don't know, Bo like kind of just waves at stuff sometimes,
which has gotten better too. By the way, I'm obsessed with watching his feet.
Yeah,
and he's got a much more stable base now. You know, and he had a couple nice rips last night with some, you know, it's still a little bit of movement, and I get that, you know, you got to do that for some torque, but I couldn't see that as a sustainable way to hit, you know, what he was doing at the beginning of the year. That was crazy.
Yeah, I think it'll always be there to some extent because that's just how he's swung a baseball bat for 20 years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't look nearly as crazy as it was like the first home run against the Mariners. Like I think both of his feet were off the ground. It looked like they were both off the ground when he hit the ball.
Yeah.
Dude, what? I mean,
I could see him like one of those cartoon characters where he just keeps spinning,
right,
you know, to the core of the earth. I mean, because it looked crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I think eventually they'll have to make some sort of change. We might get a player to be named later and some cash. I think if we traded him would be my guess.
And maybe a change of scenery is what he needs, and that's good for him. If he succeeds somewhere else, I'd be very happy for him.
Honestly, going to Seattle with his brother,
I thought the same thing myself.
Backing up Cal Raleigh, like there would be no pressure on him. He would be the comfortable backup behind a top 3 catcher in the league. There would be zero pressure.
Yeah, for sure. I just don't know that, especially I just don't know how much playing time there is though behind Cal Raleigh.
That might be the best thing for him right now. It's just
that's probably true. You know,
watch for a little bit, yeah.
Or you know, he might be better off too in a place like Miami. You know, going to a team that has no expectations for winning, where he can just play, figure his swing out.
Yeah,
you know, I don't think he's at an age yet where it's like, I don't think he benefits from like just sitting. You know,
yeah, that's fair.
You know, I mean, I don't know if going to the minors is going to be the answer either at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily looking for what's best for Bo Naylor either. I want what's best for the Guardians, you know?
Yeah.
You know, if, you know, right now if it's calling somebody up and putting him down there so he can figure out his swing while we try and get something going with his offense, you know, I'm totally down for that. Or if it's, you know, what I don't want to do is just get rid of him for nothing.
Right.
You know, he was a first round pick. He was an asset. There was something about him at one point in time, you know, and if that's something that you end up having to do, then you end up having to do it. You know, it just, that's not your first choice to do that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, well, hopefully he turns it around. It's not looking too promising, but if not, yeah, he's probably I would say he's got another month at most to like show the organization like whether or not he should stick around as the guy. Because Ingle's knocking on the door. Like I didn't know his stats were so good down there. Like there's only so long until he forces himself into the roster.
Yeah, he is just absolutely mashing down there.
Yeah.
You know, and if he's not ready to catch, then you better teach him first base or left field or something. Because we got a guy down there.
Sticks.
Yeah, for sure.
Manzardo got a hit today, or I'd say this guy should just play first for him. But Manzardo did have an RBI single today, I think.
And you know, with him too, I mean, how does he have a track record that allows you to wait on him as well?
It's a little bit earlier for him than I think for Bo. Like Manzardo last year, what do you have? 25 bombs, like
27, I think, or something.
Yeah, like I think that he has a little bit longer of a leash, but he's very frustrating this year to watch so far.
Yeah, I mean, and what the hell is going on with Stephen Kwan?
Yeah, is his last year in contract this year?
Yeah, this is a contract year for him. He turned down those extensions from the Guards, and they have him playing center field, which I think was probably I don't understand. So listen, man, I'm not a pro baseball player, right? So I don't know how changing where you play in defense affects your offense, but I do know that he started out real hot last year and cooled off.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not starting off hot this year when he's on fire at the beginning of the year, right? And they moved him from left field to center field. And I think part of that probably was to not only do we need a center fielder, but being a center fielder and having a great bat, it increases his value on the open market.
Yeah.
Being able to play multiple positions in the outfield.
Not even playing multiple positions, but he's not a power bat. A corner outfielder. It's great that he's a Gold Glove there, but he doesn't hit home runs.
Right.
So that's where the market gets weird for him. I think he creates a real market for himself if he shows that he's an above average defender in center field. Maybe he's not a Gold Glover, but he creates that market for himself. So is it the pressure of doing that? Is he really not that good of a hitter? Was he figured out? What's the issue with this guy? Because you can't even with the way he's playing right now, you can't even consider trying to re-sign him for next year.
Well, you call his agent and say, "Are you sure you still want to turn down those deals that we sent you last year?"
If you're the Guardians, you're thank God you didn't sign him.
Yeah, I think he's
now you're at almost a full year of him hitting like this, though.
Yeah, that's fair. I think for this season, he's starting out slow. The one thing that kind of stands out here, and I don't want to ever say anything bad about Jose, but you take away the home runs that Jose has, and they're not doing that much different. Jose is playing better this year, obviously, but he's also starting out slow. That's what's kind of weird. Is these guys are starting out slow, and then you have Schneemann and Rocchio lighting it up.
Yeah,
it's just it's a very weird start to the season for me.
But I think that's part of it, though, is that that's part of Ramirez's game, though, is his power.
Yeah,
so he started off really slow this year, but he will get hot, and by the time the year is over, should he stay healthy, knock on wood, Ramirez is going to have 30 home runs. He's going to hit 260 to 280. He'll have 20 stolen bases. Ramirez will be where Ramirez always is.
Yeah.
He's on pace.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
On pace for 60-something stolen bases now.
That's the stolen bases are nuts. That's
he's really amped that part of his game.
I was only saying it if we're going to give Jose, and he's earned it way more than Steven Kwan has and probably ever will. But if we're going to give Jose kind of the benefit of the doubt and know he'll turn it around, I think Kwan has shown he's at least a good enough hitter that he's not going to end the season hitting 220, whatever that says. I think he'll turn it around.
Jose has so many other tools that when one is not working for an extended period of time, the other tools pick him up. Yeah. And Steven Kwan doesn't have those other tools. So when this one is not working for almost a year now, you start to worry, is he going to get this tool back? Or is it,
I shouldn't have really I was just from a batting average standpoint and all that stuff. It was well, they're both starting off kind of slow. Was the only point out. Jose Ramirez is the better baseball player, and
no, for sure. But that's what I'm saying, though, is just with Kwan, it's just, I think, and that's just been the whole issue with him, is the lack of tools for what he plays. The tools that he did have were good. But it's he doesn't have the other things that will pick him up when the other ones aren't.
He is that's the move to center field is weird. I don't know, it's almost it's not A-Rod moving to third base because Jeter's in his way. It's he was the best left fielder in the league. I would say just keep him there. And it might be messing with his psyche a little bit. I would assume it doesn't too much. He's a baseball player. He knows how to go chase down a fly ball and catch it. But there is some sort of sense of comfort there in left field. He proved he was the best defensive left fielder in the league 2 years in a row. Or at least won the award for it.
Who do you have out in center field then? Are you comfortable with Schneemann patrolling out there?
Schneemann or Martinez? I get the move to make him the center fielder. In theory, he's our best defender. I understand why he should move to center field, but at this point, if we're thinking it could be affecting the rest of his game, then it's okay, put him back in left. Maybe not being able to chase, or Schneemann not being able to get to as many fly balls as Kwan can in center field. I'd rather Schneemann be out there in center and Kwan start hitting 270 again.
Okay.
Like if that was a reason, like again, we don't know, but that would kind of be if I was the manager, like the last thing, like, okay, like get back to where you're comfortable. And hopefully that helps you turn it around.
Gotcha. And then, if Bazanna starts hitting and when Arias comes back, what are you doing there?
He was already on a short straw with me here. Coming into this season, I've expecting him to take a big leap. And his at bats early in the season, he was looking just as lost as he ever was. He's got 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts, and 30 at bats.
But he did pick it up there right before he got hurt.
He had a few homers.
He had a Deshaun Watson, quarter against the Ravens.
Yeah,
there, you know what I mean, where he had a couple hits. He had a half where he looked good and then got hurt.
And now he's going to be a starter again, according to Mary Kay. But we'll talk about that on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on Saturday.
Yeah. I think if with Bazanna up here, like to me, and again, Eric, I'd like I know you know a lot about the minor leagues and stuff too. Like I feel like when you call somebody like him up, like they cannot be sent back down unless it's 100% necessary. Like you don't want to just call him up and then as soon as like Gabriel Arias is healthy again, like, okay, Travis, go back down now. Like I feel like that's a confidence destroyer. I'm hoping that they called him up to say, okay, you are our second baseman now, unless you like screwed up essentially. Like Brito did, like they called him up and he cost us a game because he can't catch a grounder and can't hit. So what do you guys think?
Bazanna's time to take over second base, and there's no reason he should be, being sent back down if he's the player that we're expecting him to be, a first round pick and number 1 pick. And you need to get him at bats, solidify that second base position, and Arias unfortunately is going to be more of a platoon guy.
So you're looking at Arias as kind of like a super sub.
Yeah. Schneeman is the ultimate, like.
So if that's the case, somebody's got to go down, right? So, we're looking here. Angel Martinez isn't losing his roster spot.
No.
Could he spell the end for Rhys Hoskins? Because Rhys Hoskins is at this point is kind of redundant with David Fry at this point. I would say
Rhys Hoskins it's got a pretty good on base percentage, 353.
But so does David Fry.
I think it's George Valera, man. I don't know. Like Arias has played third, short, and second, which is like kind of the Schneeman of the infielders, I guess, if you want to keep him there.
Arias also plays left field.
Yeah, so he's also played outfield. I don't know. I need to give Valera the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just thinking about that at bat he had at the end of the game yesterday. I'm still like,
that was bad. That wasn't. It was
one of the worst at bats I've ever. Like I couldn't do any better. None of us could have done any better than he did. But
he looked so disinterested.
It was a bad swing. Watch one right down the middle, and then swing at 6 inches above the zone.
Yeah,
game over. I don't know.
Yeah, it was hard to watch.
Baseball. Jose has done the same thing.
Yeah, everybody looks at it. Everybody has done that. Everybody in the major leagues has had an at bat like that.
Yeah,
it's under a microscope because it was the last one in the game, and we're talking today.
Right. Yeah. It takes a lot of focus. You lose focus for 1 second, you have an at bat like that, and that's hopefully that's what happened to George.
Yeah, that's what it's weird, man. Like they're making vote coaches. Like he's had to manage the last few years, but I think, when Arias is back, like he's going to have some serious managing to do because we're kind of back to, again, having a bunch of platoon players that depending on who's hot and who's not, like they're going to be moving in and out of the lineup all season long. Like Martinez, Schneeman, even Kafis when he was up here, like had a couple decent games. It's like, I don't like they're going to make him manage.
Yeah. Sure.
To me, you don't want to be moving Rocchio. He's the MVP of this offense. The first half or the first month of the season, he's got a 360 pace, 368 average with men on base, 435 with runners in scoring position, 14 hits with runners in base. 6th in the MLB and with 10% K rate. I mean, he's putting the ball on the plate. He's not your power guy. I would like to see him get a couple more doubles. But if he's not that kind of guy, at least he's being solid at the 9 spot. I mean, the 9 spot in your order is like one of the best spots. That's pretty good. I mean, these guys have to catch up to him, I think.
Yeah, he's doing
do you want to move him from the bottom? I mean, he leads the team with 28 hits. He only scored 13 runs, 17 ribbies.
I think there's a case to where you could put Rocchio at leadoff or number 2 behind Quan. Like if you don't want to shake Quan's confidence even further, put Rocchio at 2, Ramirez, and then I would say put Chase DeLauder right there at cleanup because Manzardo's not doing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, my MVP for this, offensive MVP, even though the numbers don't necessarily back them up, is still Jose Ramirez. This guy, he just makes that offense go. And as much as like his batting average is down, right? He's not leading the lead. He's not leading the team even in RBIs, right? But look at his walks. He's leading the team in walks. And from the number 3 spot, he's leading the team in runs scored. He is, anytime he's on base, he's making an issue of it. So that slugging percentage is low because he's stolen 12 bases. So every single that he's had, he's turned into a double. And he's turned some doubles into triples this year as well. He is just, and he's played a pretty good defense. I think he's had 1 or 2 errors this year, but I don't know, man. He's still,
there's very few players in the league like him. So
yeah, man.
Yeah. And honestly, DeLauder doesn't get pitched to the way that he does if Ramirez isn't sitting right behind him in the lineup.
Yep.
Like that. I know the Mariners series, he was hot, obviously, but it's like they pitched to DeLauder knowing, like hoping to get, like just because they know Jose is right behind you, so you get pitched to different.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, he's the only hitter on this team still. I think DeLauder could be a hitter. There are some guys here that, I think are, definitely a potential, but I mean, Ramirez still is he's the only offensive weapon on this team still.
All-star caliber player right now. Like, there's no arguing that.
It's
unless Eric, you want to argue it. We could.
I think want to argue, Eric.
Yeah, there could be.
Well, I'm not going to argue that anybody's better than him, but I
I think there's guys that could make all-star. Yeah, it didn't mean like nobody's ever going to make an all-star team on this roster. Like right now,
that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about potential either. But I think that he is still, he's hitting 222 because he's still lifting guys up and nobody's lifting him up. They still need to get a guy to protect him, to lift him up. We were hoping that, what's his name over Manzardo was going to, at least hit enough that they would have to respect him. That and they don't have to. They don't really have to pitch to Jose, and Jose still is punishing them. He's still getting on base. He's still hitting home runs, and that's his batting average is low because he's probably he's making outs into stuff he probably shouldn't be swinging at, but any mistake they're making to him, he's putting over the fence.
Yeah.
That's why he has, that's why he's leading the team in doubles and leading the team in home runs. Because he's the stuff that they're making mistakes, he's crushing.
And he might just be a little bit off now, like you're saying. And when he gets rolling, look for that average to climb fast.
Yeah. I think all he needs is a couple guys behind him that will make the pitchers pitch to him.
I mean, he's the one guy you can always count on, of course, on this team. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's where I think if any changes could be made, like I know Bazanna hasn't. It's been 2 games, but we mentioned Rocchio maybe stepping into the 2 hole, like even moving Bazanna up there just to get DeLauder back behind Jose to protect him. Like I think teams would be more scared to pitch to DeLauder than they are to Manzardo right now,
for sure. Or even Angel Martinez.
Yeah, buddy,
doing something to extend this. Yeah, extend the lineup. But you got to get Bo Naylor and Manzardo out of there. They're not. They just. right now, I know that it's still the beginning of the year. You don't want to shake their confidence, but these games count now just as much as they do in September.
Right,
The games now set you up for what you need to do in September. And you gotta figure this out.
Yeah, there was
And
some stat I was looking at. It was like Manzardo is one of the most unlucky hitters in the league. Like as far
Mhm.
as his like barrel rate and everything, like that gave me. It's the opposite of Bo Naylor, where there's just kind of none of that.
Yeah.
But Manzardo, he strikes out a ton, but it was like there was some stat that was like he's not as bad as his numbers are showing right now, which again, like who knows, like that might be true, but it's like the numbers are the numbers. So like
For sure.
eventually if he's barreling these things up, like they need to fall. Because if they're not falling, it doesn't matter how hard he's hitting it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't win on what they could be.
Yeah. So but that was at least a little bit more encouraging. It wasn't like he is also has like the lowest exit velocity in the league or anything like that. Like he was, some of the analytics were saying that he was doing very well.
And so what I have here is we were talking about hitting, right? But we also, there's the other part, which is pitching. And so the beginning of the year, the first couple of weeks, we were kind of like, oh, it's weird. The hitting's looking good. And the pitching was iffy. But here we are at the end of the first month, and the starting pitching, all of a sudden, look at it, and 4 out of your 5 starters are pretty much right where you thought they were going to be. Tanner Bybee doesn't have a win, but he is, his whip is high. He doesn't have a win, but it kind of feels like he's on the right path.
Yeah, was it yesterday's game that he was pitching?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, yesterday was a solid game. Just looking at these top 4 guys, we won't talk about the 5th one just yet on the list. But if Bybee, like again, the guy that was your opening day starter, if he's technically the worst out of those 4 numbers wise, I think that's a great spot to be in, because like a 4.08 ERA is not god awful either.
No, I mean you hope it.
But
you hope it to be lower.
Yeah.
But when you're getting that production out of Joey Cantillo and then Parker Messick, who just, my God, is on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't hit him right now. He has a whip under 1. That means he is giving up less than 1 walk or hit per inning. He's not putting guys on base. You cannot hit this guy.
No.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, he almost went the whole game without letting anybody get on while we were live on the show.
Everybody he faces is Bo Naylor. Those are the numbers that he's doing. Everybody that Parker Messick faces is Bo Naylor. Same thing with Gavin Williams. Him and Gavin Williams have just been dynamite. Gavin Williams, 7 2/3 today, 1 unearned run from a throwing error from Bazanna today. Paul Hoynes just sent out a text message. This is the first time in 45 starts that Gavin Williams did not allow a walk. So no walks today. 9 strikeouts.
Leads the team in strikeouts, 53. 43 innings pitched. And his whip's not much higher than a 1.02.
Yeah. That's we were talking about like who we thought the ace was a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And I know like Messick is like I understand, Gary, why you said it would be him. To me, like the Gavin Williams thing, I don't know, he just feels like it with these like 6'4". He's a huge dude. Like he just eats up the innings. I know Messick is also, but either one, you can't go wrong. Like to have 2 guys that we both have valid arguments to be the best pitcher on the team, that's a great spot to be in.
For sure. And I'm more seeing Messick out of fun.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. I just always like Gavin Williams. So it's cool to see him start dominating the way that he is.
Yeah. It's just been incredible. And as good as the starting pitching has been, when we look at, a 500 record, I think, the opposite could be said for the bullpen, which is usually a strength of this team. The bullpen has just, I think the tone's been set by Cade Smith.
I love that Austin Hedges is on this list.
For sure.
All the way at the bottom.
He's competing with Shohei Ohtani, both with the bat and...
I don't see Bo Naylor picking up the ball and throwing any pitches out of here.
He's not a team guy like Austin Hedges.
Yeah.
Austin Hedges, by the way, is having the year of his life. He got engaged. He
Yes, he
has
did.
pitched a shutout
Congratulations.
inning, and he's mashing at the plate.
Yeah. Every 4
He
games that
is.
they let him play. Yeah.
Yeah,
So whatever he's doing, keep doing it, Austin.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. This is
Hedgie.
that. This is the Hedgians.
But
know.
yeah, I mean, so Cade Smith got the save today, I think. He seems like he's kind of settling in, but then it's still so shaky in the middle innings. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But I agree. Like at the start of the year, like Cade Smith kind of being shaky was like that does set the tone. Kind of just if your main guy isn't getting it done or is super iffy on if he's going to get it done, then that kind of puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth for the entire bullpen.
Yeah, for sure. And
I don't know.
Go ahead, Eric.
So I don't know how they feel in the bullpen. Like if you're coming into the game and you're like, well, it doesn't matter what I do because the closer's going to blow it anyway. I don't know if you feel like that as a pitcher. I mean,
yeah, I mean they I think they probably are they're professionals and know they have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if there was any uncertainty there, like it does, like maybe even put more pressure on you. Like I have to get this done or get my job done today because, of just the way that everything else has been playing out. And the opposite can be said. Like when Clase was in there, our favorite guy, Clase, it almost adds energy to the whole bullpen. Right. It's like it's almost like his entire workforce going to work for him because they're just trying to get through the innings to get him the ball, and they know we're going to win the game unless he's got money on it.
Unless you hear his walkout song, know the game's over.
Yeah.
But
those are the closers.
But it's not just him. We had the big free agent signing, Sean Armstrong. He's not looked so hot coming out of there.
Core when we signed him.
Say that again.
It shook the league to its core when we signed him.
For sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, it just hasn't looked good. Pallet hasn't been. He's been okay, but he hasn't.
He looks like he's got some stuff there that could work in his favor. But he's had a few, like you said, rough outings there where he got tagged. But I've been impressed with Paulette as the Rule 5 pickup.
Yeah, but
Tim Herron's been solid. Even he doesn't pitch in the high leverage situations. He has not given up a run this year in 8 innings, 8 1/3 innings. So,
but all of these guys are on minor league invites, it seems.
Yeah,
or most of them.
Yeah,
I would love to see the Guardians. It's a broken record talking about this, so I'm not gonna, kick this dead horse. But just would be nice to see some more. Major league established guys coming in here in the middle of the game. Give them just a little bit more depth, a little bit more breathing room. It's only the first month, so we still don't know how things are going to shake out. We don't know how, guys from the minors are going to be coming up. They usually have a pretty good pipeline. They figure this out pretty well usually, so I do give them the benefit of the doubt on that. However, it just seems like every year, I don't want to say every year because the bullpen's pretty good. There's something like this, whether it's on offense or defense. It's usually just like on offense, but now it's in the bullpen too. We're going to have to do this in the bullpen and with the offense.
Like, and it's like a bunch of fringe guys floating around and you don't know what you're going to get every game.
Yep. And you're hoping just to catch lightning in a bottle, and they usually do somewhere, but it's just to not,
good.
That's one of your lightnings in a bottle.
Yeah.
But he's really kind of held your bullpen together.
Who is that?
Sabrowski.
Yeah.
Him and Herron. Herron is not really pitching in high leverage situations, but he's getting outs at least,
And maybe he should.
Brogdon's been there for you too, as well.
That's what it's weird. Like it doesn't, like collectively looking at it doesn't look like they're doing bad. Like obviously the Colby Allard stands out. He got designated for assignment. It's just something feels off about it. That's where I don't know. Like you have Cade Smith and Hunter Gaddis, who like they're both big right-handed arms, high velocity, and they both like seem like they're a little bit unhinged, like where they could be crazy. But they haven't really felt like that this year. I want to see like that energy come back out. Like where, it's like almost like the Wild thing, Charlie Sheen, like like the dude, like there's something a little wrong with him. Maybe I don't want to go up and bat against this guy.
Right. That
And
intimidation factor that you can, and some guys have that
yeah,
extra edge, whatever you can get.
like Clase had it. He knew he was better than
He did.
everybody he was pitching against. Like
He did.
Mhm.
he did whatever he did with the gambling stuff, but he knew that he was better than every single hitter he ever faced.
How much do you think ABS is affecting these guys? Like, do you think that, like, like when you're watching Cade Smith, it seems like he's getting 2 strikes on guys and then he can't put them away. Is it because they're, once you're getting 2 strikes, are they, I don't know the word, are they trying to spot the ball? What are you seeing for what
you have to be a lot more. I would like to see the data behind it, but watching the games, I don't know if you guys feel this way. It feels like the umpire zones are a lot tighter this year. Like they're not making as many bad calls as they normally would.
Yeah.
And I think that's because all eyes are on them. They're not allowed to have their like tendencies of calling low pitches strikes and stuff like that. It seems like they're actually sticking to more of a real strike zone.
Could you imagine the 95 World Series with ABS?
Ooh.
The whole history of baseball in Cleveland would be different if they had a system in place to hold umpires accountable in 1995.
Yeah.
I wonder if they went back and threw the ABS over that game, see what the calls would be, how many of them would have been overturnable. I would be interesting to know that answer.
You might not want to know.
Yeah.
They might not want us to know.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder how like available that technology would be to people like us if we could somehow do that.
I was going to say we should see if we can do it and overlay our own ABS and figure out if we were robbed.
Yeah. I know we were robbed.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's
how
like
egregiously
against like the Kansas City Chiefs, like knowing that was helmet to helmet hurts more. Like every time I see that replay, it was like, how did they miss that?
Yeah.
That's a brutal one. Yeah.
That one hurts. Yeah. So I don't know if I even want to know, like if I want to see the actual proof that I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
We should do it. We
definitely should do it. We should. I want to feel the pain.
Yeah.
I definitely want to.
Yeah. And I can't drink. So I'm going to need you guys just to do it for me and just both of you drink enough for all of us.
Nah. Yeah, I'm not a drinker as well, so
no. All right, Gary.
For me.
All right, man. I wouldn't call myself a drinker, but I will take one for the team.
You're gonna take 2.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take a lot for
Both
the
of
team
ours.
on this one, man.
Right.
That'd definitely be painful. We got to do that, man. We got to figure out, how ABS would have changed it.
Let's go through an entire Game 7 of the World Series, and every missed call, Gary has to take a shot.
Oh my gosh.
We'll take over the last 6 innings for you when you're gone.
Reminds me of the time we mixed him a drink when he was sitting out at the pool when we were kids. We're gonna go get you a little mixed drink, and we just put straight vodka in it. He was just he was like, "Yep, let's go." He didn't stop.
Man, Gary.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You don't remember that for real?
Yeah.
Okay, then it never happened.
That's right.
We did
I never did that to you.
We never drugged this guy. Yeah.
Good times.
We'll see. Cade Smith got a save today. Juan Brito isn't here to drop grounders and cost some saves. So hopefully,
but Bazanna made an error today. So picked up where Brito left off.
Yeah, I like his attitude seems good though. I know that's not everything; it doesn't actually matter, but just from hearing him in his interviews and stuff, he seems like he's a smart dude. And I mean, we don't have sold out stadiums for him to play in, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it. It's not like he's coming up here playing for the Yankees and all the pressure's on immediately. But I would like to see him get his first hit tomorrow. That would be nice.
Yeah, definitely would be great.
Yeah.
Third game of the series.
Tomorrow,
hopefully we won't be
yeah, maybe they're off. I don't know.
Are they off tomorrow?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Then they start May in Oakland, so they'll be traveling tomorrow.
Damn.
All right, well,
not Oakland, I'm sorry. Whatever it is.
Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah.
Aren't they just the A's now?
Yeah. They're not allowed to say their new affiliation or their old one, so they're just the A's.
So this is what the Guardians will be looking at for the next month.
And the Cavs are losing in the first quarter. How? I don't want to talk.
No. Yeah. They
All right,
blow
we
that
just
one.
need
That's
the Guardians. Yeah, let's just go undefeated in May, please.
Yeah.
I'm sick of Cleveland sports.
I mean, it's an interesting mix. I mean, they play a couple first place teams and they play a couple last place teams. The Athletics are 15-14, leading the division right now, and then followed up by KC. They're in last place.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Then you got the
Twins.
Battle of Ohio right in the middle.
Battle. That's going to be an exciting series, and they're the first place Reds, the 19-10 first place. Terry Francona led Reds.
Yeah, Ellie De La Cruz is killing it down there.
So much fun to watch. He's so much fun to play with on MLB The Show too.
Yeah, he does everything. I got him on my fantasy team. I have him and Bobby Witt, so I'm happy.
Were they like? Did you get them when they were in the minors?
This is in our dynasty league, so I got Ellie like during his first year before he was like really a super like Bobby Witt. I paid a ton for him. We do like salaries, so I'm overpaying him a bit, but underpaying Ellie, so it evens out.
Very nice. Yeah, and then after that we got the Tigers again and the Phillies. Then we're back home with the Nationals and the Red Sox. So it's it's going to be a fun month of baseball. And it's cool. The Guardians, if you look here, they got a lot of stuff going on. It seems like every other game, and especially on the weekends, they have some sort of promotion.
So the Austin Hedges jersey giveaway.
Yep. I'm looking at that Reds game on that Saturday there, that Rajay Davis 2016 Game 7 bobblehead giveaway. That one looks tempting.
I have like a very hot take on that. I don't know if it's hot take or not, but I know Rajay Davis was recently in town. Like I don't know, he was doing something and he did the first pitch at one of the games. To me, it is like it's like kind of a bittersweet thing the way that we sell it. Like his home run was amazing and all that, but it's such like a bittersweet feeling because we didn't win the World Series. It's like we're celebrating, like it was awesome what he did. I realize how great it was, but it was like, but we still lost. So it always feels kind of weird, like that he's like just so celebrated. I mean, I don't want to sound. Hopefully, it's not too negative. I'm just saying it's like,
Do you remember the 95 and 97, Logan?
Do I remember it?
Yeah. How old were you?
Yeah. I mean, I was young, but I've studied it and I watched it then, and I've rewatched them since.
I just think that, especially that Game 7 against the Marlins, when Jose Mesa, we should have had that save. When you give up a sacrifice fly to a guy that weighs 150. Anyway, I digress. But we've been on that precipice before, and really didn't have a moment like that where we were coming in and trying to close the game, whereas Rajay Davis came in and put us back in the game.
Put us back in it, yeah.
And gave us that hope. Like this was if we would have just went out that game and finished it and been like, the Cubs just beat us, but we had hope. We had hope for a moment there, just as the Marlins had hope when they got their sacrifice fly.
And
it could have broken differently for us too.
And I think
that's fair.
And I think too is that also the 90s teams, there's such a complicated relationship with a lot of those guys because of whether it's steroids or nodding on.
They were all competitors. They were just fierce competitors.
Whether it was steroids or some of the stuff that was going on inside the clubhouse, or whether it was shaking off the fastball for the slider, which all these different things that happened. You finally had a moment there, and it was in a World Series. He's an easy player to celebrate, and it's an easy moment to celebrate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Think about the big home runs that Albert Bell hit in the playoffs. The relationship between he and the city and the team has been strained for a very long time. Manny Ramirez had some moments, and because of steroids and all that stuff, that can't really be celebrated. Jim Thome didn't really have crazy good moments for us in the playoffs. By the time he was the man, our run was over for the most part.
Yeah. And then he chased
and then he chased the money and left. You know what I mean? So that was, that relationship was strained. Kenny Lofton. Some weird stuff went on between the Indians and Kenny Lofton too. With how they treated him with the trade in '97 and when they brought, this. The point being is that there's been constantly from that John Hart era, it seems there's something weird with every guy.
Yeah.
And so I think with Rajai Davis, it's finally like it was a feel good moment with a good dude who doesn't have any baggage.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still like the Jose's and stuff. Like we still have guys to celebrate from that team in general.
Yeah.
Like Kluber, those guys.
For sure.
Not really anything truly negative hanging over the team.
Yeah, for sure. Like even like Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee hated the Guardians.
Yeah.
Cliff Lee never comes back. He won a Cy Young here, but he hated, how the Dolans handled contracts and that, Guardians fans, he became a Guardian. Cliff Lee is in the Grady Sizemore trade. So he came to the organization at the end of everything.
Yeah.
So by the time he's in the majors, nobody's coming to the stadium anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So he's pissed at all the fans. And he's there at the era where him and CC both leave back-to-back years. So we have back-to-back Cy Young Award winners that are leaving in free agent. You know what I mean? Where like that had never happened before.
Yeah.
So like and CC's a Yankee. So
Cliff Lee went to the Phillies, right? Philadelphia.
Well,
we
he
traded
went
CC, didn't we?
We traded CC to Milwaukee for
Yeah.
the half. That was we got what was his name? Matt, the first baseman.
Matt Laporta.
God.
Yeah.
Quad A player.
And Michael Brantley.
Michael Brantley there.
But then
Brantley ended up being this all-star, the guy in that trade.
And then we traded Cliff Lee to the Phillies for we got Carlos Carrasco in that.
Okay.
Nice.
And then he went to, I think he signed with the Mariners.
Yeah.
And then got traded to Texas or something. And then ended up back with the Phillies. I don't remember exactly how that happened.
Yeah, I remember he was in Seattle
for like a hot second.
Yeah.
But like
quad A player. I've never heard of
quadruple A. Yeah, so like there was, there's a big gap of like, there's always just been like weird stuff, so they don't really celebrate.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I just remember the 2016 one a little bit more than the other ones. So it's still like, I love that the Cavs won that championship and it was great. I would trade a Cavs championship for an Indians or Browns any day. Which I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I just really wish they would have won that World Series, man. All the 3-1 jokes that we made about the Warriors and they came back to bite us in the ass.
Yeah, sure did. That was definitely a karma situation.
Yeah.
It was definitely karma. I would like to see Andrew Miller be more involved, with some stuff. He was so much fun, man.
I think there's like a bad taste in his mouth with the organization. I thought there was something where he like kind of felt that they overused him.
Really?
Like, yeah. Again, I mean, this is just like rumors and stuff, but I thought there was something like his arm wasn't the same after that run.
I mean, it wasn't.
They were putting him in anytime they needed, like, all right, we need an out here. When's the last time Andrew pitched? Yesterday? Screw it. Put him back in.
I mean, they hurt him,
I don't know if he like got injured, but his like they have like the dead arm thing. Like, he wasn't the same after that at all.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
Absolutely.
But God, he was so good during that.
Yeah,
he was. I mean, the dude belongs in the Hall of Fame for that.
Just
run.
for that season.
I talk about
for that half season.
Yeah,
for that half season,
Braylon Edwards all the time on the Browns show, and he had 2007. Braylon Edwards has nothing on 2016. Andrew Miller.
Yeah, for sure. That is the greatest run of a relief pitcher in a playoff race ever.
Yeah.
Him and Corey Kluber kept that. I mean, the two guys, a relief pitcher and Cody Allen too. But I mean, it was really, it was a four-headed monster. Brian Shaw, Cody Allen, Andrew Miller, and Corey Kluber. You had three relief pitchers and one starter that just, I mean,
you knew we're going to be lights out.
Not that you knew we're going to be lights out. The only ones that could pitch. Literally, they were the only ones that could pitch. And you had Michael Brantley was out for the year, and then you had Jason Kipnis, you were trying to play in center field because he couldn't, his knee was blown out, or I don't remember what his injury was, but you had literally the whole team was, the whole team was hurt.
Yeah.
Trevor Bauer chopped his finger off on a trying to catch a drone.
Yeah.
Didn't put a drone guard on, didn't put a guard on the thing. And I mean,
that was 17, right?
No, that was 16.
That was the year we made the World Series.
That was the year we made the World Series. And then he tried to go out there and pitch, and he was just gushing all over the field.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, you can't pitch.
Yeah. Speaking of your old pal Trevor, he's up to nasty things in the minors.
Yeah, he's pitching, man.
Mm.
He is dealing out there, man.
Think we're going to see him here anytime soon? Not here, but in a major league stadium.
I am a fan of Trevor Bauer being in the Cleveland baseball organization again.
Okay.
I think if Deshaun Watson is allowed to step on a football field, then he should be like, it is a weird thing. And I almost said it in our group chat, but I wanted to save it for here, where baseball, it is like a winning cures all thing, but it's not the same as being a quarterback for a franchise.
Oh, wait. Sorry, can you do that again? I accidentally removed you instead of the calendar.
Oh, nice. That like baseball is a winning cures all sport, just like any of them, but it's different than if Watson goes out there and goes 5-0, like then he's the city's savior. Everybody loves him. It's like he gets a very hands-on credit for the wins. A starting or a long relief pitcher in baseball, like the winning cures all only goes so far, because there's so much more that goes on in the sport than going out there and throwing a touchdown pass.
For sure. I mean, but Trevor Bauer though is not out of baseball. Okay, how do I want to phrase this? Trevor Bauer was put out of baseball because of the false accusations.
Yeah.
Trevor Bauer is out of baseball still because he told everybody about the sticky substances that people were using to increase the spin rates.
Yeah.
That's why he's out of baseball. Is that the Astros got caught cheating and he piled on. I don't remember which was first, whether the sticky substance that Garrett Cole was using was first, or
well, him and Garrett Cole hate each other too. They were teammates at UCLA and they hate each other.
Yeah. So I don't remember which was first, but they were right around the same time. And, he broke that, he broke the unwritten rule. And he went public with what was going on, and that's why he's out of baseball.
And he has a lot of unwritten rules, to be frank.
Yeah.
Launching the ball over the fence from Tito.
Come on, that was fun.
That's fun to be shown up by a pitcher.
Well,
that was impressive. That was impressive.
I was going to say, he might, if he can field out there, he looks like he could be a center fielder and start throwing people out.
Yeah, it could be like Rick Ankiel.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, he just hasn't shut up since, though. It's like if he would have been quiet, like kind of initially, I think he'd be back in the league by now. But he makes sure to go post on social media every 3 days about how the MLB screwing him over.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, I'd be upset if I was him too. But it's like, bro, just if you were quiet, you'd be back in the league by now.
You think so?
I don't know.
I think it has something to do with his being a teammate, his personality more. If you said it, man, Garrett Cole and him couldn't get along. I don't think Garrett Cole's the nicest guy, but to hate somebody, yeah. So to hate the guy on your college team, you would think you guys would be, you've been on teams, right? There's very few teams where guys do hate each other, but there's very few. I mean, you just usually get along, and to hear that he's hated by one teammate's not surprising. He's probably hated by quite a few.
That's what I think.
For whatever reason,
I think he rubs people the wrong way. No pun intended.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
But pitching wise, talent wise, I mean, it's a shame because he had some forward thinking things for pitching, I think, and as far as like this place in Cleveland being a pitching factory, as a fan from the outside, it seems like maybe he had something to do with that a little bit. I
I mean,
don't know.
he has warm up routine, and
Uh-huh.
it was like very, very weird. And I think it would fit right in. Like it was like he would almost like what was he like swinging a towel violently, and
Hmm.
um,
He
like it
was
kind of fits into the way that the game is pitched now, which is
the long
just
toss,
the long toss too, where he
you know.
huge running start and um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
And those were all reasons Arizona got rid of him.
for sure. Yeah, they didn't
They
like
didn't like
how.
his he wanted to do his own thing, and he had his own ideas, and no, more power to him for that. And like I said, he made some great changes. I'm thinking of the Guardians just by being here, seeing
Yeah.
how he trained.
And as much as they talk about the teammate thing, I mean, when he was here, I mean, that pitching staff was close. It was him and Clevenger, and I mean, they were, you know,
yeah,
they were a pitching factory when he was here. That's when that stuff really started under Mickey
Mhm.
Callaway.
Yeah,
And I know, and Mickey Callaway also had his own issues,
I was going to say
but
they might have got
but-
along a little bit too much.
yeah. Maybe the
Yeah.
fact that Bauer got along with all these guys should have told us more about the other guys.
for sure. But it's just I just feel like baseball misses the boat sometimes. Football
Except, like,
finds
the
a way.
holier than now
Yeah.
sport compared to the others.
Yeah, like football finds a way to you
You only
guys.
killed one person, Ray Lewis. Oh, that's not too bad. Come on.
Yeah, come on in.
It goes on, right? Life goes on. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure. Like, didn't Dante Stallworth play after he ran over the guy?
Yeah.
He drunk and drove and killed the guy, and then when he was with the Browns, and we released him, and he played somewhere else. Or, like it's
Like Henry
other-
Ruggs will probably get a chance. I don't want to say it, but I mean, I don't know, in 3 or 4 years, if he gets out of prison, he'll get a tryout somewhere.
Yeah,
Like-
Kareem Hunt got another shot. These other guys who
Yeah.
they get caught doing stuff, get another shot.
And $250 million guaranteed.
Yeah, So I'm just I would like to see Trevor Bauer pitch in the majors again, just to see if he can do it. I do watch his YouTube stuff sometimes. He is a dickhead. So it's not like he's a cool dude. Trevor Bauer's not a cool dude.
Unlikable, but it's like, dude, can you pitch?
Yeah, for sure.
If you can pitch, then just somebody should just take a shot on him. Like,
for sure.
I don't know. But yeah, he sucks. Like
and I think baseball needs heels. They need baby faces and they need heels.
Yeah.
Baseball needs personalities. And he's definitely a personality. And that's people talk about why is baseball doing that? And it's people like personalities. People like to love you or they like to hate you.
Mhm.
And he definitely people hate him.
There's not many villains right now in baseball.
There's not.
Like,
Who's
I can
a
only
villain?
think of, like, Dalton Rushing, the Dodgers catcher right now. Like, people are starting to dislike him. Because I don't know if you saw, like, he tagged somebody out pretty hard against the Giants, and the guy was hurt, and he like walked back as he was walking back to the dugout. He just said like F him.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a cocky douchebag, it seems like, but like the backup catcher for the Dodgers is the villain in the league right now.
Yeah,
Like, that's
I mean,
the
that's
one everybody agrees that they don't like is the backup catcher. Like, who gives a shit?
And baseball has a problem too, where it's like the only real villain that they have is the best player in baseball, and so they can't even lean into that. Like Shohei,
it's true
Shohei
so many
Ohtani.
times.
Yeah, it's every time though. It's like the
Mhm.
best player in their league is the dude that's either doing the most steroids or the most gambling or the most violence, or you know what I mean?
The most
Making his
egregious of crimes.
His interpreter do the gambling for him so he doesn't get in trouble.
You know what I mean? Allegedly, it's
Yeah, right. Like, come on, dude. Yeah.
And that's kind of where baseball's problem has been. Whereas, at least in the other leagues, those things are happening by guys that aren't, the Michael Jordan of the league, the Babe Ruth of the
I
league.
think like Altuve, like the Astros guys are still the villains, and they about 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Anybody from that team, Springer, Altuve.
Yeah.
But I think one of the problems with that though is that so they are the villains and there are people that are angry, but they did a type of thing that not only made people angry, but people didn't stick around to show their anger. Like, it wasn't the type of anger that people wanted to buy a ticket to boo you for.
Right.
It was the type of anger that people stopped buying tickets.
That's
Yeah.
bad.
Well, we did show up to boo, and whatever we were talking about last week, that announcer said that we are not
Paul
allowed to
Hoynes,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That we
the beat
shouldn't
writer,
do
yeah.
that because we're hurting the Guardians by showing
Yeah.
we're still mad.
But I think that's just people who showed up there booed. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
Astros weren't selling extra tickets. I mean, and maybe they were at first. I don't know, but I don't think that it was a net positive for the game, a net financial positive for the game that happened. They didn't sell more tickets. It's not pro wrestling where the guy cheated to win, and then people bought more tickets to go boo the guy who cheated to win,
Or to see what he's going to do next.
or see what he's
Yankees,
How are the
they would
Astros going to cheat next? People are just like, well, screw this. I'm gonna go watch golf.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like I remember the they might still do it, but I don't know. Before, when the Yankees would come to town, they would play the Empire, like the Star Wars, like Darth Vader music, dun, 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 and it was like everybody hated the Yankees. Now they still might dislike them, but it's not like if the Dodgers are the current Yankees, like I don't get mad when the Dodgers come to town. It's just like they're not like the bad guys anymore. It's weird.
Yeah, there's that the emotion in baseball is gone.
Yeah.
And it's just like you just don't have those characters anymore.
Right.
Like you do in the other sports.
So maybe it's not steroids. Maybe they should drop acid before they play.
Yeah.
Get some serious characters out there.
The 70s had some characters for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
What was his name from the Pirates that was doing that?
I wish I should know the name.
I'm talking. He was a pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Was that Tiant?
No. I'm gonna look this up here. Who was
when you say it? I'm gonna know who
the Pirates pitcher.
Doc Ellis.
Doc Ellis. Yeah.
A famous no-hitter against the San Diego Padres while under the influence of LSD.
Yeah, June 12th, 1970.
Yep. It was his off day.
Yeah.
Ellis took LSD. Flew to San Diego, pitched 9 innings, won 2-0, despite walking 8 batters and struggling with visual distortions. But
that's
like, could you imagine nowadays
seeing things different that day? Yeah.
Could you imagine nowadays though a manager keeping you in the game, walking 8 guys? You're throwing a no-hitter, but you still walked 8 guys.
Right.
Well, they wouldn't. Yeah, after your 70 pitches nowadays, they take you out.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. But yeah, 8 guys. Or he might have tried to take him out, and Ellis didn't know where he was, and he walked out to the mound anyway.
He reported feeling euphoric, zeroing in on the catcher's taped fingers, and sometimes feeling like he was pitching against Richard Nixon or Jimi Hendrix. So hey, he was in a whole different ball game.
And that's performance enhancing. If
you ask me,
yeah,
Space Jam.
For sure.
Wow, that's crazy. Good for him.
Yeah.
Well, he later became a drug counselor, regretting that the acid no-hitter overshadowed his career. So,
he'll put it.
You get known for what you get known for, I guess.
Good things came out of it. Good things.
That's why I'll have to reach out to him. Like, dude, I never threw a no-hitter in the MLB on acid, so.
Yeah,
right. It's not like he from then on was like, well, I'm doing this. I better take acid first, so I do it really good.
Yeah, got my.
That's a wild thing to have to do every 5 days after that.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, it's my turn in the rotation again. Time for the tab. Yeah.
That's a scary superstition, man.
Yeah. Time to trip balls again. Here we go.
All right. Well, guys, this has been a good show. I've really enjoyed doing this with you guys. We're going to be back next Thursday at our normal time. Next Thursday, probably about 7:00. Anything else you guys want to hit on before we get out of here?
I don't think so. How about you, Logan?
You think the Guards? I guess we don't have to do exact records, but
the schedule
over 500 in the month of May, over or under?
I believe their opponent's record is 111 and 146. So they're playing some lower competition. So they should be able to
Let's hear. Let's pull up the schedule here. Take a look real quick.
Okay.
We'll do the schedule game here like we do in football. So let's say with the A's, we're going to take 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
With Kansas City, we're going to split. So that's 4 wins.
I'm
So it
on
puts us
board.
at 4-3. I say we'll take 2 out of 3 with the Twins.
Okay.
I say we will take 1 out of 3 with the Angels.
Ooh.
The last place Angels.
The last place Angels, I think, are going to come in and
I'm
shock
sorry,
us.
fourth place, but they're 12-19.
Then I think we'll take 2 out of 3 with the Reds. We'll split with the Tigers. We'll lose the series with the Phillies. And then take 2 out of 3 with the Nationals and the Red Sox.
The last place Red Sox.
Do they have a coach yet?
Throw that in
Or I
there.
guess maybe they do. Yeah. They have anybody? They fired all their coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with Gary there. I think we'll sweep the Angels, though. That'll be my prediction.
Okay.
Different.
I think the Reds are going to actually take the series against us. I think Tito's going to have his day here, like he did. I think last year they came here and won.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. It should win that one. At least tie with the Royals. Win, lose, tie. I mean, hey, it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see. What is that? There 29 games. 17-12.
I take 17-12.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. 17 and 12. We're all in agreement there. 17-12.
Yeah,
that's what we'd like to see. Yeah,
I take 16-13 too.
Absolutely.
For the record,
I take 15-14. I wouldn't go one game lower. I'm not going below 500 here.
That's right. We're not going below 500 on Guardsmania.
No.
Well, guys, it's been great. Thank you very much for being here and sharing your time. I hope you guys have all had a good time listening and interacting. We'll be here next week. Where can they catch you, Logan?
Logan Bruce Music on all platforms.
Awesome. And then you can check us out everything at Guardsmania or Guardsmania CLE on all the platforms there. And we'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.
Go Guards.
Go Guards.